Hey guys, Coach PJ here, and just wanted to quickly go through your nutrition plan and make sure you guys have a game plan for what to eat for the next 12 weeks and make sure everybody understands our nutrition plan. So, the image in front of you guys says 6 weeks, same plan. So, the one that you guys have will be 12 weeks. It's going to navigate the same way. Now, before we get started, I just really want to make sure everybody commits fully to the next 12 weeks. We really want you to see a lot of change here. So we do want you to make sure you're showing up to the gym at least 3 days a week. And then I really want to make sure that you're working as hard as you can at home to follow this nutrition plan the best you possibly can because it works. So one thing I do want to mention is that we really want to go through 3 phases with you. The first phase you guys will see right here is going to be transformation, and this is really going to be where you are starting to learn these things. We're going to be probably living a lifestyle that's very different than what you're doing before, and with that, you're going to start seeing some results very quickly. So I think that it's really going to help getting some psychological buy-in. This is where you're going to see a lot of results, and really kind of transforming who you are, right? After that is going to come habit formation. So after the 12 weeks, hey, we may not quite be at our goal yet, but hopefully we saw some good results. So we're hopefully going to start ingraining those habits and maintaining them long term. And with that, you should continue to see results. And then step 3 is going to be identity association. And with that, long term, over time, you should see a shift from, hey, thinking of yourself a certain way to eventually thinking of yourself as a fitness-minded person or an athletic person. And when you start thinking of yourself as an athlete or somebody who makes healthy choices and that's part of your identity, it's going to be a lot easier to maintain this long term. So I think that's going to be pretty cool, and I hope to see you along the way. So in your nutrition plan, which again, we're going to print this out in color and give you guys a copy of this plan at your first class, and you'll go through it. So you guys may not have it in front of you yet, but this is what to expect. So there's a page that's going to have approved condiments and spices. These are all calorie free. You can use as much of them as you want on your food. It's going to add flavors. So we don't want you just eating like plain chicken breast and plain broccoli all the time. Add flavors to it, make it fun. So all that stuff's fair game. When we get to this next page, it's color coded, which is pretty neat. So we want you to start having an understanding of what foods contain carbohydrates, what foods contain protein, what foods contain fat. So these are going to be our 3 primary macronutrients, so nutrients that are found in large amounts. These are all also calorie containing foods. We also put vegetables on here. Vegetables, if they had to fit in a macro category, would be carbohydrate, but they contain carbohydrates in such low amounts, and they contain such a high amount of vitamins and minerals, fiber. They're very filling, very low calorie, that we put them in their own category because we really want to make sure that we're eating them at most meals. And each of you guys may have a different version of the meal plan. We've got several of them based on the weight that you are now and the weight that you have for your goal. So we're going to give you a portion size based on who you are and what your goal is. But in your meal plan on this page, it's going to tell you, hey, for the meals that contain a protein, for example, in red, this is how much of that protein you should have. So if at down here you'll see breakfast asks us to have a carbohydrate, a protein, and a vegetable. If we were to choose a protein, egg whites, for example, the portion that we would want to have with breakfast would be 1 cup of egg whites. Or if you chose cottage cheese, you could have 1 cup of cottage cheese. Right. And then you'd also do the same thing with carbohydrates and veggies. So you'd choose 1 cup of vegetables to eat, and then you could look at your carbs, and you get 1 portion of carbs. So if you chose oats, you do a 1/2 cup of dry oats. If you chose sweet potatoes, you could have 1 medium sweet potato. So your breakfast might look like 10 egg whites, 1 medium sweet potato, and 1 cup of carrots, right? And then each meal is going to be a little bit different. So breakfast has a carb, a protein, and a vegetable. Lunch has a fat, a protein, and a vegetable. And then dinner, again, has a carb, protein, and vegetable. So at lunch, we are avoiding carbohydrates for the most part, and we're going to have just a little bit of added fat. and then at dinner we're adding the carbohydrate back in. We're not having that fat. So we'll have a template down below that's going to show you at what meal what you're having. So again, breakfast is going to be carb, protein, vegetable, lunch, fat, protein, vegetable, dinner, carb, protein, vegetable, and within those meals you can choose any of these foods. So again, you can mix, match, combine, pick really what makes sense to you, what you enjoy. So in that way, it's very flexible, even though we do have quite a bit of structure here for you. So you could go the entire 12 weeks and not eat any tilapia. But if you really like fish, maybe you want to have that. So again, these are going to be the portion sizes for each type of food. And then you'll look down at the meal, and based on the prescription for the meal of what types of food to include in that meal, you can choose the foods you like and then choose the portion of that food that you want to have. Our general plan for you is to have 3 meals per day and 2 protein shakes. Again, based on your body size and your meal plan, all of that, most of us will probably have 1.5 scoops of protein powder, but you may have just 1 scoop, or we may ask you to have 2 scoops. Now, if you don't want to have any protein shakes, you could certainly substitute any of these proteins for that shake. So you could have some leftover shrimp or leftover tuna or whatever, a can of tuna, instead of that protein shake. If you're not big on eating 5 times per day, you could also take the protein that would have been your shake and you can add it to one of your meals. So at lunch, you could have double protein and skip a shake. So again, make it work for you, but essentially throughout the day, you're going to get 5 portions of protein, 2 portions of carbohydrate, and 3 portions of vegetables, and then plenty of water. The next page is a shopping list. Now, this one can be slightly confusing, so I don't necessarily want you to go buy 4 pounds of chicken, 4 pounds of turkey, 4 pounds of tilapia, all this stuff, because that's going to be too much food. Again, we're having 3 meat-based proteins per day, or if you don't eat meat, there's other options as well, but we're having kind of 3 of our protein portions per day plus your 2 shakes. So if we've got 3 per day, 7 days in a week, we need 21 portions per week. If we look at this shopping list, it says 10 servings is 4 pounds of chicken. So if we need 21, we probably would just only need to pick 2 of these when we're shopping. Or you could potentially cut it in half, do 2 pounds of chicken, 2 pounds of turkey, and that would get you to that 10 servings. We need 21, so you could pick 2 pounds of 4 different meats. That just gives us a general idea. With a lot of the carbohydrates, a lot of these have a longer shelf life, so you can certainly stock up on those. The meats and the vegetables you'll probably need to buy each week. One last piece on these portions is you'll see down below where it says fat, it says thumb. Below protein, it says palm. Below carbohydrate, it says fist. And below vegetable, it says cup. Now, in general, I would like you to go and make sure you either have or you purchase a set of measuring cups, measuring spoons, and a food scale. So that way we can really weigh and measure our food with accuracy. But the thumb, palm, fist, and cup are shortcuts to, if you're out and about and you don't have access to your scale or measuring cups and you're going to have a protein, choose a protein that's the size of a palm of your hand, and that'll be about the right portion. For carbohydrates, you could choose, if you're having rice, choose a pile of rice that's about the size of your fist, and that should end up being, about the right portion for us. For vegetables, you would either put it in 1 cup or it could be in the cup of your hand, and then fats would be about the size of your thumb. So 2 tablespoons of peanut butter should be about the size of your thumb. Down here at the end, you're going to see for each meal, you've got breakfast, lunch, dinner, and your 2 shakes. So again, for breakfast, we're having carb, veggie, and protein. So you could choose from this list up here which carb you're going to have, which protein you're going to have, which vegetable you're going to have, and you could write that in. Do the same for lunch with a fat, a vegetable, and a protein of your choice. Same for dinner. Check off your 2 protein shakes. Then throughout the day, you can check off each glass of water that you have to check that off, and that would be an entire day. So for each week, you've got your 7 days of the week, you've got your portion, prescriptions, and then you can plug in whatever foods work well for you. And that's the cool thing about this program. So you're going to have a different one for each of the 12 weeks. And then when we get to the very end of this meal plan, there's also some frequently asked questions. So definitely flip to the end and just read through these. And if you have any problems with these or don't understand, feel free to reach out either to your accountability coach or to our gym email, and we'll do our best to help you out with that. Next, I also wanted to show you our recipe book. So these guys, we're not going to print out just because they're a little bit longer, so we'll email them to you. But the recipe books will go through, and again, these are also going to be set based on a certain weight or portion sizes. So we have different versions of this. We'll make sure you have the right size for you. But there's different recipes for breakfasts, for lunches, for dinners, and each of these lunches, for example, should fit the macronutrient, the food breakdown that we're recommending for you. So if you choose a lunch recipe from here and create one of these lunches, that's going to fit within the recommendations we're making for you. So that'll fit within your meal plan. So you can certainly follow just plugging in for breakfast, choose a carb, choose a veggie, choose a protein, and kind of keep them separate foods like that. Where, hey, we're having brown rice, we're having turkey breast, and we're having cooked spinach, for example. Or you could choose a recipe for that meal and follow it, and that'll give you guys a little bit more variety as well. So all these recipes are approved. You've got, for each one, you've got all the ingredients you need. You've got your directions. It even tells you calories, fats, carbs, proteins as well. So that's about it. Pretty short video, hopefully, because, again, the meal plan is pretty simple. We want to keep it simple because simpler is easier for you to follow. But again, try to get a scale and measuring cups as soon as you can so you can start measuring out your foods. For your meal plan, for each meal, we're recommending what types of foods to have. And then from those types, choose the food that you want and the portion size you want. So make it work for you. And again, if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you, guys.